450 every month are arrested.
450 what?
Child offenders. When I say child offenders, those attempting to meet children.
450
every month on average in this country. What happens in gangs isn't shown on TV. The things that they do to initiate and to keep you where you are, and these are young people. They're doing stuff beyond the movies. These good kids, these good church kids, they get drawn in. It's easy. If your church cannot show you the procedure, safeguarding procedure, they should not have children in the church.
I'm African, Zimbabwean. I grew up getting beat.
She did it to survive. You have to behave because you're around white people. No, I'm not. Just in case the Sun newspaper rocks up with a story of someone dying. You see all that stuff we see in the movies? It's right in all of our cities. Scotland, pedo ring, involving ministers of parliament.
Okay, we're here.
We're here. We've been talking about it for a long time.
A very long time. Probably, what, over a year?
Shame. That's a shame.
But actually, when did we first meet?
We first met face to face, you mean?
No, actually. Let's take it back to how we met and then just
how
paint
did we meet? No. Okay, no. It was through Juanita.
Yes.
Yeah, my wife.
Yeah. Yes. So shout out Juanita.
Yeah.
And we started, because you guys had a channel. Have a channel.
It's about to be reignited, restarted.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Because we miss it.
In March this year. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's called This Is Marriage UK. We talk about everything marriage, relationships, and me and my husband were one of the guests on your Instagram Live. And that was the first time we did anything like that. But you guys made us feel so welcome. And the conversation just flowed, and then it ended up just going.
It went deep. It went deep for me anyway.
Yeah, no, it did for us as well. And from that live, we've made friends with them. It's not just because sometimes when you do lives with people, it just kind of like, let's just collaborate, and then that's that.
No.
But I genuinely feel like I've found long-term friends.
Absolutely. I think through social media, it's easy to meet people and not be deeper than the surface. But here, I think we've met twice now.
Is it twice?
Yeah.
Yes.
In London. North London, we had a meal.
Yeah, that was good.
And then it wasn't Embankment, is it in the Wharf? What
Chelsea.
Wharf was it? Chelsea Wharf,
It was Chelsea, yes.
Yeah.
And then we went to Chelsea as well, just met briefly.
Yeah.
But every time we hit London, we always hit them up and we get together, and it's always great. But today we're here to talk about something that is, I guess, quite deep for what a lot of people would say. So it's just a disclaimer. We're going to put this here before we go any further. There might be some topics that we might touch on that might be triggering for some. So just be prepared. And we're not intentionally trying to trigger anyone, but it's just trying to bring awareness. Well, that's my intention on this podcast, and to get education for myself and others who may be a little bit unsure of what a social worker does. And this is what I would like to talk to you about, and why I've been hounding you to say, let's please do this podcast. And so I had to write questions down. Normally I don't write questions down, but this is quite a sensitive topic, and I want to make sure that I cover everything that I have in mind. So, but first of all, I just want you to tell us, who is Curtis and who is the man behind the social work race?
Thank you very much. Well, behind me, honestly, Juanita is behind me. She's the reason why, for me, anything ever happens. So you can't see her now, but she'll be here soon.
Yes.
But the social work races platform is on most social media platforms, I think. It was originally designed for social work students. Okay. So I was originally documenting my social work student journey as a dad of 3. Student finance. So we originally took a serious hit, and it was a gamble for me to go and study, because you can't just say I'm going to go and study unless you've got that income. To cover. And so I looked at Juanita and I said, I'm going to do it, because I was already working in youth justice with young offenders. Oh,
were you?
Yeah.
I didn't realise this.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Okay.
And then that's kind of how I met Juanita in the first place. In 1998, 8.
Wow.
Anyway, decades ago.
Wow.
And then I thought, I'm looking. My studying style or my learning style is visual. I want to see it done.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube. There was nothing at the time. This wasn't too long ago, and so I thought, let me document my journey to help other people. And then I paused on it because I was doing school run. My wife was working full time.
Wow.
I was also doing placement, and then it was like studying, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is the real journey. Then it's evolved into, let's talk about social work and social issues.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
And how did you find that when you were studying and doing the school run at that time? Did you think like, I can't do this, it's a lot?
No.
Good.
The first 2, I studied for 4 years.
Right.
The first 3 years, no problem. The last year, anxiety hit me out of the blue, didn't expect it, and I didn't think I was going to finish.
Wow. Anything trigger that, or it's just
I have no idea.
a lot of work?
It was because in my lineage, no one goes to uni.
Right.
So this isn't real. Bearing in mind, I've been running off of hustle mindset, meaning I had to start believing in myself, and then suddenly that just stopped one day when I got off the bus, stepped into university, and I was like, I can't do this. And for that whole year, I was worried that I was going to fail. In fact, I had failed in my head, but I passed with a first. Thank God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, because a lot of people do struggle with that. And I'm quite proud of you actually that you were able to push past that, because a lot of people will think that, and then it makes them take a step back and say, you know what, I'm not doing it. Because I've had it like that, where I've wanted to do something and then I don't end up doing it because I've had anxiety, or like you're saying, you're the first person to do this thing. And it's that imposter syndrome that kind of kicks in massively.
Let me tell you, it's still there strong.
Yeah?
Yeah, it hasn't left me. I'm just trying to manage it.
And how do you combat that?
You know what, I'm interested. I'm having these discussions with my kids.
Okay.
Like motivation, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in gearing yourself up. I'm like, just do it. No matter how you feel, just do it. Discipline, yeah? So I think that consistency is our biggest super weapon. Is that what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's consistency. If you're crying, do it. If you're depressed, do it. I think that's the only thing that matters, because the only thing that matters is that it's done, not whether you feel motivated. But, motivation comes and goes. And so that's something I'm working with, you know. I hear the voices saying, no one's going to listen to you. They're never going to trust you. You're talking nonsense. You're not qualified enough. I get it all the time. You're going to waste all your time. 24 hours a day.
Wow. I feel like that was directed towards me.
I'm talking to myself.
I know you're talking to yourself, but there's something about talking to yourself that you're actually speaking to other people, because that is so me. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a woman thing, but now I know it's not a woman thing, because it gets so strong sometimes, and you think like, man, and you get in your head like, I can't do this. I'm the only one that's going through this, and you don't talk about it sometimes.
Well, we were looking at your channel.
Really?
Is it 2 channels you've got, both of you? Or is it 1 or 3?
We've got 3 YouTube channels. Yeah, now 3.
We were watching it on YouTube and we were like, wow. And then Juanita then said, I'll contact them. And I'm like, 1, they're not. They're too...
Oh my...
Do you hear the voice? Do you hear the voice?
Yeah,
I told her,
seriously.
don't, it's not going to work. And she's like, no, I'm going to do it. And she contacted you, and here we are.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
And a lot, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yep.
And I go through that as well. Even asking you guys, I was like,
I can't believe that.
They're so busy.
I can't believe that.
Seriously.
So I remember, because the kids watch. Well, at that time, it's been a little while now, but Juanita would watch you guys.
Yeah.
And when she said, this is so bad, when she said, I'm going to contact them.
Really?
I was like, 1, don't.
Why are men like this? Like, you ruin our vibe.
Right. But this is it. I mean, but she had the guts, so she pushed past her imposter if she's got any. And my imposter was screaming out verbally, and so here we are. So that's why I'm saying, no, Curtis, stop that.
Yeah, and it's that kind of fear of that rejection.
Yes.
That you think, oh, if they don't, there's something that it does to you inside, and then if the person says no, sometimes it can then make you feel inadequate. Like, why did they say no?
Yeah.
What? And it's like you can't go back to them and say, but why did you say no?
Right.
you have to kind of settle it in your head, like, okay, maybe they're busy, maybe they just don't have the time to do it. But I hear you, because I've battled that so much, even with this podcast, trying to get people. People don't get back to you, or they just leave you on scene. Like, ish, that's
They're
tough.
too big for us. Don't worry.
I know.
We're coming.
No, but thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that is a valuable lesson for a lot of people. And sometimes there's no way to actually just come out and say, oh, yes, I've got imposter syndrome.
Yep.
But this is the right time to kind of segue into this. And so that is who Curtis is. And if you weren't in this career, what would you be doing? So I know you said you did the youth offenders before.
That's a tough question, you know. Therapist. Is it the same career? It's not.
No.
It's not the same career, no. I know what therapists do. No. I'd be a therapist. That's actually what I want to do.
I can imagine you as a therapist.
Yeah.
I really can, actually. So if you were to leave this job, that's what you probably would do.
That's what I'd want to do.
You'd want to do.
But I have to pay the bills. I had to choose.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
No, do you know what? I think both those jobs are quite challenging in themselves and what you're going to see and hear.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
You're all right with that? Okay, cool. And have you always wanted to be a social worker?
No.
No?
No, I fell into it.
Okay.
So
when you...
I was doing, my CV's long. I've got 5,000 jobs on there. But it was when I met Juanita, she got me into youth mentoring.
Right.
That's back in 98-ish. And then from there I got into youth justice.
Right.
Various other jobs, nothing to do with it. And then when I was working in youth justice, they wanted social workers a few years back. And so I was like, I was struggling to get work.
Right.
And so I said, I'm just going to do it so I never have to look for work again.
Okay. So see, I was going to ask you, like, how was that on your marriage? But I'm not going to ask you because how was that dynamic with your marriage when you didn't have work? But we're going to leave that to
for the marriage
because
cool.
we're going to do another marriage podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to leave that to
Yeah.
for that other podcast. So do you actually enjoy your role
As a social worker?
as a social worker?
This is it. Yes, but. So it's a yes, but answer.
Okay.
I enjoy meeting something new. I enjoy meeting with people who need help.
Right.
That's in my nature.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about the job is not the admin, but the amount of admin. So really, most social workers are doing they're working probably about 20, 30% above their capacity.
Wow.
So it kind of, when you ask that question, one has to say, do I not like social work or do I like it? Well, actually, I do. But if we could reduce the caseload, which will never happen.
Yeah. And it seems like not just social workers, a lot of places are getting bombarded with a lot of paperwork. Even like, I'm just thinking in NHS, I know they complain about paperwork a lot. Which is quite a shame because then it takes away from you actually performing the job adequately without external stresses.
Yeah.
But long story short, you do enjoy it if you didn't have as much of the paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it would have to be a yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So what is a typical day as a social worker? Because I know now you have you're doing 2 days away from home.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I don't really tell people where I work.
Yeah.
And the people I work, my platform knows that I tell people, social workers, when I do interviews, I say, don't say where you work.
Yeah, no.
In case you have a bad day with someone. But I work 200 miles away from home. A typical day for me doing that would be, I prefer to leave home. And sometimes if it's not on a Sunday, then on my way down, I'll be booking my Airbnb.
Right.
And then, or when I get there, I'll do my visits and squeeze in some time. Oh, have you got, because I know the people that I've worked with before, have you got a space tonight or for the next 2 nights? Yes or no? And I'll go and do that. I do visits for a day or two.
Okay.
In between, I'll be taking phone calls, trying to solve problems. So I did that on the way in. I told you
Wow.
about it earlier. So, so I thought, yeah, a moment of peace. I'm going to do some admin whilst I'm in the car. I'll get a phone call. Something's kicking off. I've got to resolve it. I've got to be seen to be resolving it. I can't just not answer the phone. And breakfast is missed. Okay, fine, I'll do that because I don't need to eat as much. I need to cut down the eating. And then it could be a meeting. So for example, you know, last week, Friday, I was driving home and let's say it was coming up to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I knew that, it was 2 o'clock. I had a meeting at 2 o'clock. It was a core group meeting, which is when a family's on child protection status.
Right.
And so we called the professionals together and the parent to say, what's the plan going forward?
Yeah.
And I was looking at the clock. It was like 10 to 2. And I was like, right, I'm on my way home. How far can I go before I have to stop off, pull out the laptop, put it on my lap, hotspot, and then log on, making sure that there's signal.
Wow.
That's a day. That is a day. If I'm doing visits. If I'm at home, I'm sitting down way too long. Like that. Or sometimes just on meetings. Like I can get up and sometimes I'll get up at 7. And then, this is not good, people. But if you don't do it, it'll bite you. But I get up at 7:30, hit the laptop, try and clear some emails and admin. Then I might be in meetings from 9 till 2 p.m. Consider about 2-3 meetings.
That is long.
It's bad.
I don't even know how you guys do it, but I really take my hat off to you. So it literally sounds like you're just on call day in, day out. You sound like you're a counselor as well in it.
Only because there are other teams like this, but it's more child protection.
Right.
That's where it's really like that.
Okay. Right. So those were just a few icebreakers that I just wanted to know myself. So we're going to jump into the kind of serious stuff now. Okay. So I watch a lot of your stuff on Instagram mainly because I try not to go on TikTok because TikTok is a rabbit hole and you could be on there for 3 hours.
Easy.
So I just stick to Instagram and YouTube. I'm
just going to confess I'm an addict.
To TikTok?
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't do the TikTok one, but I do Instagram and YouTube for your stuff. So actually another thing I wanted to ask, I saw an article, a lot of articles saying that there's a lot of social workers leaving the role. Do you think it's due to what you just mentioned with the workload? Or is it because what you guys see is quite disturbing or varied?
It can be a combination of that. I mean, I think there's one thing I try to do on my channel is to clear up everyone's lenses.
Yeah.
This is what social work is. And I don't think I do that enough. But I'm actually trying to do more honest reflection and say, this is social work.
Yeah.
So that people who are students come in and thinking, I want to go and help the world, I want to help people. No, you'd think it's that, but it's actually, it's not so simple.
Yeah.
You get there and you're shell-shocked. You just turn up, you're newly qualified and they'll say, here's your case. Now you should be protected to a degree, but you get a case and it's all hell's breaking loose. So it's like, I can't handle this. Parents could be cussing you.
Wow.
Out, make it really hard. They'll insult you. They'll look at you and tell you about yourself. And that alone, people are like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Some people can handle it, some people can't. And so everybody's affected though. So it's tough like that. Yeah.
And what's the training like for those kind of things? Do you get because I know you get the initial training, but is there kind of quarterly training, monthly training?
Actually, I'll try and keep this really short. So actually, we do a degree, and 2 years of that degree includes practice. So you're actually with a local authority or whatever institution. And you do 70 days on 1 year. Depends if you're doing a degree, but if you're doing a master's, it's a bit less time. But you're doing 70 days on one, and then the following year is 100 days. There is training, but what you don't get, it's very rare. You don't get the full on until you've qualified, done your assisted year. After your assisted year, that's when it really starts. Because you've got to juggle a lot.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if I'm taking too long to answer.
No, it's you're absolutely doing fine. So there was a live that you were doing with somebody, and I can't remember if it was you or the guy who said this statement, and I've thought about this statement myself. So he said, there is a sex offender in every family. I don't want to say the P word, but yeah.
Did they? I don't remember who said that.
Something.
But
Yeah,
I've said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think there is a? Because I don't know if we get a strike on YouTube whether we say the pedophile word, but we might as well say it.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you elaborate on that and on what made you say that statement?
I've been saying it for years. That was my supposition. But I got that from what I've witnessed in my personal life.
Right.
But also, it was a broad brush statement.
Right.
But I believe, what I'm really saying is that there's a sex offender in every corner of the room. We don't know what they look like. You have to wait for them to be caught out.
Yeah. And that's quite scary when you think about that, because it makes you a little bit paranoid.
Yep.
If I'm going to be honest, because from your job role, when the kids that get abused, is it mostly from people that they know, or it's varied?
There's my experience and then there's statistics.
Okay. So in your experience then?
It kind of coincides with the stats. It's boyfriends that are the biggest offenders.
So the mother's boyfriends?
Step-parents.
Wow.
Are by a country mile, biggest offenders.
So basically people that aren't necessarily biologically related, but still a close, and someone that is trusted by the family.
Yeah.
And how do people not see this?
Good question. I think, bear in mind, 450 every month are arrested.
450 what?
Child offenders. When I say child offenders, those attempting to meet children.
450?
Every month on average in this country.
In this country?
Yeah.
So just UK alone? So that's not even the world?
So the thing is that you can't necessarily see them. You have to be observant and be educated and informed about what their behaviours are.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why my next move is to address churches and how they are safeguarding their congregations, because they're just as much as they're in my office, they're in schools, they're in churches. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It really doesn't matter your status, doctor, pastor, police. It's all the same.
Whoa. I'm just gobsmacked by that statistic, because that is pretty high. I know people say, oh, it's just in the UK, but like you're saying, this is just the UK. But if you think of the world at large, we got how many people in the world?
8 billion.
Billion, yeah. So and those are people,
4 billion men.
And those are just people that have been convicted in court.
Yeah. So
we don't know how many are still lurking around. And why do you think?
It's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, actually. I'm actually lost for words, because I'm on the side of like, how can someone be so sick to do that, but also as someone that is supposed to be caring for a child, what must be going on in your head to allow that to happen?
There's a really good guy that I've interviewed. He's more about the psychological element.
Really?
I'll hook you up, because I would love you to chat to him, because this is about protecting our children.
Yes, 100%.
So there's different types of offenders, and I'm not even close to being an expert, but there are groups, different types of offenders. Some of them can be rehabilitated because of the type of offender they are, psychologically, and the nature of their offences and their attractions.
Okay.
Some of them will not, statistically.
So the ones that can be rehabilitated, what makes them, how are they able to be rehabilitated and some others
It's complex.
aren't? Okay.
It is a bit more complex. It's beyond my pay grade now. But this is it. The issue is that they still can't be trusted again. Really.
Exactly.
It's just the way it is.
Exactly.
They're always going to be deemed a risk.
Yeah. Yeah, because my thing is, surely if you have that thing of saying, oh, I have this attraction, surely you're still not safe regardless, because the attraction is there. And if you're given the opportunity, and the opportunity just presented itself, let's say with a girlfriend that's got a child, you're left, the mom goes to the toilet or goes to the shop, you're left with a child. How do we know that you're not going to act on that? We don't know. And
what happens is, it gets complex now, because what happens is they know who to want to live with and who to have a relationship with.
right.
There's always a vulnerable mum out there. And
So those are the people that we need to speak to, the vulnerable mothers. So is there any signs that, let's say single moms can look out for in potential boyfriends? What to look out for to prevent these things happening?
I think a lot of it is common sense.
Yeah.
The issue that we have is clued up mums are clued up. And mums who don't have the professional skills are looking and being watchful. I think that the issue we have is that there's mothers and dads,
Yeah.
but mothers, grandmothers, they don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So if I was to say you're an aware mother,
Yeah.
you don't have all this knowledge, but your kids are not going to be subject to that.
No.
Right.
Heck.
And no one needs to talk to you. You've
No.
just got some sense, about or common sense, if you will. But there are a lot more out there that they need a lot of work.
And do you find that the mothers that usually pick these partners have come from traumatic pasts or have a pattern of choosing
Yep.
similar partners?
Yeah.
And in your profession, have you found or dealt with a case that a mother has chosen a partner
Yeah.
over the child?
Yeah.
So what happens in that case? Do you...
Okay. So we get a referral, for example. Most of our referrals probably come from schools.
Okay.
So I've had lots of cases of that. And the referral will come from a school because the school spends most of the time with the child, 9 till 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And children say things, or their behaviour will be a certain way. So the school would then immediately just call us.
Wow.
Yeah, but anyone can call us.
Okay.
It could be police, it could be the GP. Who else would it be? I don't know. There's not many spaces, but a neighbour that's worried.
Okay.
They will call social services, and then we will speak to the parents and say, right, well, this is what we've heard. Let's explore it. And if you're asking me as Curtis, as a social worker, I'm going to ask you questions, and your answers will tell me how you are as a person.
Okay.
And if you've got into this relationship with a guy, typically the guys are homeless.
Wow.
Typically. But if they're not, I'm listening to what you're saying because the responsibility is on you because it's your child. If she's making excuses unnecessarily, or if she's turning a blind eye, I'm like, okay, something's going on.
Wow.
Because that's a vulnerability that someone else is going to be playing on.
But that's good that that's what the school's there for. And are you able to speak to the children as well?
Yeah, it depends on the age and depends on what has happened. Sometimes I don't address it with the child.
Right.
Depends on the information I get. Sometimes I will have to ask horrible questions.
Really?
And sometimes you have to take that child, could be a young child, and you've got to take them immediately to a child protection medical, meaning we take them to there's certain GPs that would do a physical on the child to explore.
Wow.
It depends on what's happened. Or it could be just abuse.
Wow.
But they would do a medical. They have to be stripped naked. Sometimes I'll see, sometimes I would choose not to. And then wait for the report.
How do you go back home and like decompress? Because it must be a lot. Because obviously, as a parent, I don't know if you've passed that stage. Because I'm sure with people like
I've got a 10-year-old. I don't know. Have I passed? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean like in your profession where you know, sometimes people get desensitized to what they see. Have you got to that point where you like, I have to just focus or else I'm going to crumble? How do you cope with seeing that?
I have to talk to my colleagues, just like I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
We have to hash out the feelings. Some local authorities will provide a psychologist who will help us in supervision.
Okay.
Sometimes, most of the time, our managers do it.
Right.
If you've got a good manager, Juanita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always good to have a partner that listens.
It helps. It,
It
does.
does.
Just that you need to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know
Just
what you do
vent
with
it
it
out.
if you don't, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't mind the stories. I just want to share it with someone. But I don't mind the complexity. The only thing I've got an issue with is the amount of administration.
Right.
Because I want to do work with the family.
Okay. Whoa.
So that's something I can deal with.
Right. So you've just managed to figure out a way for it to not.
I think it's my
bother you.
character.
Okay.
What would bother me? I don't know yet. Some things do bother me.
Has there been a case that you've thought, man, this is too much?
No.
No.
If I knew that a child was going to be placed back in harm's way, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And has that ever happened?
No.
Where a child's been.
So when I first started social work, I worked with adolescents.
Okay.
Specifically 11 to 18.
Right.
17, 18, and they're less complex. It's still crazy. I mean, I've seen some things that are absolutely mind-blowingly wild and scary. I just don't know how much I could say.
Say as much as you can. Say as much as you can.
Like the gang stuff.
Yeah.
What happens in gangs
Yeah.
isn't shown on TV. The things that they do to initiate and to keep you where you are. And these are young people. They're doing stuff beyond the movies.
Really?
Yeah, and I've got a whole thing that I want to do on the gang thing because it's not been said enough.
Yeah.
So I've seen stuff that's wild there. Then I worked in assessment team, the referral team. So we are the first people that will meet the families. And so then we pass it on to the long-term team. So we get to dip into a lot of families and see some crazy things as well. Depending on where you work,
Yeah.
you're going to see out of London or out of the city, you're going to see a lot of DV alcohol. I'm changing topics now.
No, go for it.
DV alcohol, sexual abuse. In town, you're going to see a lot more exploitation.
Wow. And that's for young,
Yeah.
many young girls or young boys as well?
Yeah. You go in the inner cities in London. I mean, I've only really worked in London and the outer counties. But in London, the only city I've worked in London is just exploitation. These good kids, these good church kids, they get drawn in. It's easy.
And let me go back to that because as you touched on the church, you said you posted something on your Instagram talking about churches need more than just DBS. I think this is absolutely paramount to talk about and actually relevant because it's a Christian channel. What can we do to protect children in church? Might I say, when I go to church, I actually don't take my children to Sunday school.
Why not?
Because of that. I don't trust anybody. Like, I trust people, but even with school, it took me a while to even want to send my child to school because I read a lot, and I've had to stop myself because I then start getting paranoid, and then I don't trust any organization. I don't trust taking my child here. But church is the one that I feel like it's not an obligation for me to take her to Sunday school. She can stay in the main hall with me. She can hear the same word that I'm listening to. And there's been a lot of stories of that kind of stuff happening in churches.
So there's two things. I went to a church for most of my life, and it had rooms. Not good.
What rooms for?
Rooms, the vestry, the eating room, the meeting room, this room.
Yeah.
Where kids like to just play by themselves. No way.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Exactly.
Right? I left that church because something happened in that church.
Oh, wow.
Over years. And because the church didn't deal with it, it happened to multiple people. And
so was this somebody that was looking after the children in Sunday school?
No, he had a position.
Oof. Can you say the position?
I'm not gonna do it. It was high enough. He has a high enough position.
Seriously?
But he didn't even need the position. The position isn't the issue, but I can imagine it will be in other churches, and I'll come to that in a sec. But he was a trusted member. That's what it needed to be. The position just helps you.
Yeah.
But he was a trusted member, where he was just prolific. Every church I can go to, you'll find someone in there that say, yeah, it happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of our friends, yeah, it happened to me, yeah. But when we was growing up, because I'm nearly simply 50-ish, there's no voice in the 90s, 80s.
No.
You wouldn't. Who are you going to tell? Your uncle, aunt? They're going to cuss you.
Yeah.
Why you put yourself in that position? Mm-hmm. So what can churches do? Well, I left that church. I go to a church. It's just a big space.
Yeah.
I would also say, stop saying, give uncle a hug. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say.
Stop saying, stop bowing down to the pastor. In my denomination, we don't revere the pastors.
Yeah.
Other denominations, the pastor is the king of kings. You know what I'm saying? That's messed up.
It is.
In my denomination, we don't necessarily have that. So they can't just get away with that. You know, so we don't say, oh, bow down to pastor. Pastor said. We don't do that in mine. It's not a part of the culture. But stop forcing your kids. None of your kids should be sitting on anybody's lap.
I agree. 100% agree.
There was one guy, I always talk about him. He was granddad. He was like 65, 70. Only played with kids. And I was one day I just sat down, he's chasing my son around the church. And my wife went and got him and was like, what are you doing? At the time he must have been about 8.
Yeah.
Stop that. He should be sitting down with adults having conversations. Let the kids play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But nobody could see, because if you speak to my gran, and she was 95 when she died, that generation and the generation after would make excuses for abuse. No way.
And it's because, I think it's mainly because they don't want to bring embarrassment or shame, but they don't think about that child's future. Like, what's that doing when you're not listening to them saying, well, this happened to me, or this is how I feel when this person did this to me. They're going to grow up and then they're going to have traumas, and then that child is going to be acting out and like, oh, they're a problem. But if you had dealt with the problem that had occurred before.
Don't bring embarrassment.
Exactly. And I think that's what's causing a lot of hurt and pain. And I think a lot of people now, with the psychology and the therapy that's coming out, a lot of people are becoming a bit more aware and like, okay, no, that wasn't my fault. Why was I told to be quiet?
And then them uncles still visit the house like it never happened.
I mean, that I think things need to change. Things need to change, especially like with children. Like, they're just innocent. They came into this earth. They didn't want to come here. We wanted these children, so we have to protect them some way, somehow. And it's amazing to have people like you in that area doing that work that a lot of us are like, that's too much.
I mean, we do get cases where pastors are in, and elders and youth leaders or whatnot, they're in the system because they've got families, but they're sexually abusing the congregation.
Say what?
Yeah, we get them. We're just not allowed to talk about it. I can't give names on locations.
No, definitely not.
But what I'm saying is that social workers don't broadcast what's going on. We just deal with it. We just keep our mouth shut because that's what we're supposed to do. But we get religious leaders being accused of this all the time.
Yeah.
What you need to have, churches, you asked the question, churches need to have, can't have multiple family members on a church board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to be, well, if we can't fulfill that role, leave it. But you can't have all these church, like cousin and uncle serving and aunt serving. You can't, because they'll protect each other.
Yeah. Well, and it reminds me of that, do you remember that Netflix series, Greenleaf?
Yeah.
And literally, that's what came to mind, because, they're going to protect the hive, isn't it?
And just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with religion.
No.
This is people.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm passionate. Yeah.
No, go for it. We need that passion. We need that more passion, really, because that's the only way that the message can be gotten across. And I think a lot of people need to wake up and not, like what you said, bowing down and putting somebody on a pedestal and trusting that they have the best interest of you and your family. And not every pastor, not everybody is like that, but you're just trying to say, be clued up, be watchful.
What's your procedures, church? Show me your procedures.
Yeah.
Because what happens when a child says, oh, the elder so-and-so touched me?
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do?
I've seen it multiple times where the church will try to cover this thing up because the whole church will be shut down. Everyone's going to get eyes on them. You mean my auntie or my uncle? No. Let's have a conversation and they'll try and deal with it in-house. That's exactly what happens. So what's your procedure? And if you don't have that, you should not be having if your church cannot show you the procedure, safeguarding procedure, they should not have children in the church. So my daughter goes to a church now. Yeah. There's glass everywhere.
Right.
There's multiple staff members. There's a woman, there's a man, there's a woman, there's a man. And they've got strict procedures. Just the moment you step into that church, they're on it.
Wow.
You can tell that my kid's safe here. You can watch them. They're not. And my kids have learned.
Yeah.
Anyone touches you,
you know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And all my kids have gone there and they've never had a problem because they're very no, this is our safeguarding procedure.
That's amazing.
But black churches don't do that.
That's it.
Let's be straight.
And that's what I was going to say. So when looking for a church, because a lot of people look for churches for their children, where they've got a good kids club, and because a lot of them, let's face it, they do a lot of kids clubs and on holidays and half terms. So you'd challenge parents to ask for their
safeguarding procedures.
Who's
a safeguarding lead here? Mm-hmm. If you don't have that, my kid's not coming. Yeah. They take the tithe and invest in a safeguarding lead, or educate someone, or qualify someone. Do that. More than one person, a man and a woman.
Yeah.
The DBS is not enough.
No, you're right, because I'm just thinking as you're talking, there has been a lot of scandals where this has happened in the churches, and how it's gone undetected, I don't know, but I don't believe that nobody knew. I think somebody knew, but like you're saying, people are turning a blind eye to it. Yeah. But I really do think that needs to definitely change, and don't be afraid to say no, because at the end of the day, it's your children and it's your family. You're going to be dealing with the remnants of that, the aftermath of whatever they're dealing with.
I know women now, my age, who are deeply angry with their parents or their mother and don't know how to say it. I had one on the platform. We had an interview with a girl who was abused by mum's boyfriend. I said to her, don't put your camera on. We had nearly a 2-hour session. Oh, yeah.
And she was the one that went in the car.
Yeah.
She kind of went to the car after this. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's still dealing with it because she knows her mum knows, but her mum won't say anything. And all the hell that comes after that, because she's dealing with badly with trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rejection. You didn't save me when you could have, and you won't even say sorry.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. But why do you think some parents are like that?
Culture, fear, they're victims themselves. They haven't even dealt with their own. They haven't even dealt with their own. They don't know how, they haven't got the mental, emotional tools. Because when you're abused, you're disabled. Unless you say something at your mouth, you're disabled.
Yeah.
And when someone does that to you repeatedly, you don't open your mouth. So then when you have children, you can't teach them what you don't have.
Yeah. But I think maybe it's just me being, because of my situation, I think once you become a parent, there should be something that switches like, man, this happened to me. I don't want this to happen to my child.
I think so. But I think what you're talking about is that will.
Okay.
You have an inner will to do that, but you're disabled.
Right.
No parent, you know, 1 in 100 million parents is going to be like willing for their child to be abused.
No.
So it's almost nobody. And if that's the case, you then have a child and you heard that it's happened. What do? It just takes you straight back to yours. And it's like,
Yeah. Kind of want to just shove it in a box and like try and pretend like it's not there. But that's not the way to deal with it. But it's such a shame that, you know, the people that you were mentioning now are still dealing with it now, even in their older ages.
My gran said to me, Curtis, it happened to everybody. And you just keep your mouth shut and deal with it, because that's life.
I don't like that, see? I've heard it so much that like it happens to but it shouldn't be happening to everybody. That is a thing. And I don't know how we can change it. You know, it's just me and you on this podcast, but I don't know how we can be changed, but something needs to change. I think that it has to be a stubbornness in us to say like, I'm not bowing down to this. I'm not bowing down to that. I'm going to protect my child. The same way like a lion would protect the cub. We need to have that fierceness.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to lose friends, if we're going to lose families, and so be it.
Yeah.
And I used to get it so much. I didn't go to church for a while, and people would say like, oh, you need to take your children to church. They need to go to Sunday school. I'm like, they're not going to Sunday school. They'll come to church with me, but they're not going to Sunday school.
I'm about that, but if I don't feel like it, it's not happening.
No.
No.
Yeah, and I don't want to feel pressurized to do things, because that's when it's not going to be authentic.
Yeah.
But I think we should pressurize people into protecting these young children. That's where the pressure should be put, really.
Yeah.
And it's not, it reminds me of that Victoria Kimbe story. That always gets me every time. I used to watch the documentaries all the time, but I can't do it now. Now I've got kids, I can't watch it.
I mean, it is a contentious issue, the over-spiritualization of people's lived experiences. So attributing things, interpreting things through spiritual eyes, it's got major issues. Now, I believe in spirituality.
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to make sure that I've appropriated it properly. Some cultures, everything's spiritual.
Yes.
And then you can abuse adults and children.
Yeah.
With that kind of mindset. So we have to be really thinking, where is this going?
Definitely. And talking about spiritualizing and culture, I was also watching your video where you were talking about beating children. And I really do feel, because I don't beat my kids, I won't do it. But I come from a culture that does.
Yeah.
I'm African, Zimbabwean. I grew up getting beat.
Yeah.
I got beat when I was growing up. Even the teachers in school were given the permission to hit children if they were naughty. And if you were hit in school, you're going to get back home and get beaten as well, because you embarrassed the family at school. And that was just a normal consensus. And even in my primary school, there was this it's funny, but because, when you grow up, you laugh about it because everyone went through it, so to say. But he was known as that teacher that would just literally smack kids. This was primary school, mind, not even high school, primary school smacking kids in the face, kicking them in the back, whatever he decides to do on that day. And it was normal.
Living out what he experienced onto the other people. Yeah.
Or his frustrations, whatever might be going on.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a man as well, doing that, the strength that men have, I think that's wrong. But with culturals and Christianity, they stand on that verse, you know, the spare the rod, spoil the child.
I mean, you gotta, there's smacking and there's beating. And then there's excessive smacking.
Yeah.
It's difficult to govern. It's so subjective. My issue is this. I don't think people have put enough effort into building relationships with their children, knowing that our children are going to mess up. That's what children do. Even adults do it.
Yeah.
And if a whip is the first port of call, there is a problem. But my thing is, what really informed me was smacking was not seen as practice in Africa. It's not an African thing.
Okay.
It started after colonialism. We were taught to do that to our own. It's not, and I've read that from source.
Really?
From source, like Africans didn't beat their children. We learned, some of the African countries learned to do that after they were trained to do that. And slaves, if you look at the West Indies, everyone beats their kids.
Yeah.
But they had to survive. But
So
white people weren't beating their kids.
That's what I was thinking. Like even now, I know there are some that do.
Yeah. Culturally, no.
Culturally, no.
No. Culturally in the West Indies, yes. Culturally in some countries in Africa, yes. After Europeans went there.
No way.
And dominated the land and keep your kids in check, and we would beat our kids to save them.
So do you think that it came from that Bible and the verse in the Bible?
Europeans used that.
Okay.
Not like they studied their word, but they used that as a means to have a right to exercise their anger on us.
But it's
This is God's
interesting
will.
that it's more like the blacks that are using that more.
Yeah.
To discipline the children.
Well, what we've done is we've gone to the countries, ripped it apart, left them in poverty. Some of the men have gone to war. They work damn hard and they're tired. They haven't got the culture that they've had their culture ripped out from them. And so they're a bit aimless. And so what it is that they're left with anger. The white people did it too in the 1700s.
Okay.
Because they went to war after war in America, Europe, come back, they're angry men, they've been traumatized and they're going to beat not only their children but their wives. So that's different. What we're looking at here is Africa. Look, black people didn't beat their kids, but West Indies is full of kids getting beaten. It's the first thing we do.
Do you think? No, Africa's like that.
Oh no, what part of Africa?
Well, Zimbabwe.
Right, but that's near the south, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So that's where white people were. There's a lot of white influence there.
Okay. I would love to know if anyone watches this, like if you were beat from any part of the country, African continent, because every person I've spoken to that's African, they have been beat from a young age. Yeah.
So this is it. So when I was reading this, the article that I read was showing that it was actually more than one article. The Europeans said that the Africans are not beating their kids.
Wow.
So this is 500 years ago.
Wow.
Their observations.
Okay.
It's only after we dominated certain parts.
This is
because Africa's been divided up.
Yeah, yeah.
The more south you go, they've been terrorized in the south badly. In Ghana, the West African coast, down to the south, they've been terrorized there, Africans, by Europe. But Africa has been divided up by Europe. We're on another topic now, but but it's not innate. So when I look back at beating, I was brought up getting beaten. My dad regrets it.
Does he?
Of course.
That's good. At least he's kind of looked at it in hindsight.
Of course, you know. He regrets it, and it was given to us to do. I'll give you an example. My gran, she did it to survive. You have to behave because you're around white people.
Wow. Wow. So like, don't embarrass me.
Because they're going to judge us and treat us badly. We're already struggling.
And I think that's the same even now. Why a lot of parents do it now, because they don't want you to show them out in front of other people or in public. But I think I was watching a lady. She's a Christian lady. She does like homemaking, elderly woman. She teaches women how to be homemakers and love their husbands and all this kind of stuff. And she was talking about one of this instance on raising children. And she says, I smack my children because it says, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. So I have to smack them. I don't smack them heavily, but I smack them just enough for them to feel the pain and to know that if they do that, that's not right. And for me, as a social worker, if someone came to you, let's say I was in that lady's home and I saw that and I said, that lady smacked her child, I think that was inappropriate. And then you went there and saw it, let's say saw it, what would you think? Is that classed as abuse?
Professionally?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Because in England, you're allowed to smack your child.
You are?
Yeah. In Scotland and Wales, no.
Oh, it's Scotland and Wales that you can't. Oh, I thought it was England as well.
Now, it depends on the type of smack, because we've had kids who obviously been beaten, smacked hard, smacked regularly. It all varies. It's a real rainbow. If a parent's doing it, I'm always going to say to him, find another way. You need help. Let me refer you to a resource. My job now is to say, let me help you do better, because it won't go anywhere. Because the fact that we're involved, or the fact that you have to keep doing it, is a sign that you've lost control.
Right.
There are other parenting skills that we need.
Yeah. Whether
we smack or not, that we have to grow in and say, is there a better way to do this?
Wow. So is it like where you can smack them but don't bruise them?
You can't leave a mark.
You can't leave a mark.
And you have to smack them in an appropriate part of their body.
No way.
Yeah. Or the police will be knocking on your door.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can't smack, and if it leaves a red mark, you're in trouble.
That's it.
Police will come, they'll see a red mark, and if it's just a red mark and it's fading, they'll give you a stern warning.
Wow.
But if they see it's still there after 10, 15, 20 minutes, then it will be a joint section 47. I'll be working with the police. They may or may not charge you.
And how do you feel about that?
It's such a bespoke situation. I mean, I'm here to uphold the law.
Yeah.
Smacking wise, I discourage it. I've seen things go a bit too far in terms of with the police. It's like, look, the parents learn, back off, but it's personal with the officers. You know? And then you've got some officers that are reasonable. So it just depends on how they're treated in that process. Because parents make mistakes. If you've got a parent that is is being belligerent, does not care, doesn't want to learn, then I get it. We need to do something. But there are some parents who are like, I'm sorry, I just lost it for a minute. And they've left a mark. I'm sorry, whatever course you say how to do, I'll do it. I like that. We work with that.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh. Because sometimes, like I said to you, I feel like when parents do that, it is coming from a place of frustration, not with the child, but sometimes external things. And then, when kids come like, mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, and you're in your head with a lot of things. And then that's where sometimes it's just like, smack.
Yeah.
So
that too.
That's good to know that it's not necessarily
illegal.
It sounds bad when you say, it's not illegal to hit your kids, just smack them a bit.
But the police are clear. The way that the police frame it it has to be really proportionate.
Right.
Like, you've got different ages of children as well.
Yeah.
Do you need to smack a 1-year-old?
No.
Do you need to smack a 2-year-old? Some would argue yes, but if you do, you make sure it's really light.
But do you need to smack a kid at all? Because I think, like, this is just what I think. If, let's say, when he was like, she overspent on something, or she kept doing something that you...
Juanita?
Yes, your wife, yes.
My wife?
Yes. Did something that, was just frustrating or triggered you, and you're like, stop it when he...
Yeah, but you're then saying, and I'm a critical thinker now, so I always challenge people, but you're saying that some parents always smack out of anger.
Yeah.
But you could say some people are smacking because of discipline.
But how do you know the difference? Because you could say that I'm smacking because of discipline, but...
No, I wasn't angry.
Yeah.
I smacked him to show him. I've spoke to him 3 times, very firmly, he still did it.
Okay.
Don't do that again. No mark. I wasn't angry. Because in social work, we have to be careful about how we perceive people's actions.
Okay.
So if I see someone smacking, I could write an assessment say that they're dangerous because they're smacking their kids.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that.
Right.
You have to say what happened, why, and what was they thinking, a proper assessment of their actions and their thinking. And then you say, I did it to stop him from doing it. There's no mark.
Right.
We have to warn them and we have to walk away.
Okay.
Now, depending on the age, of course, but if he's doing it to a 1-year-old, we'd be like, what the heck are you doing? You can't smack a 1-year-old.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's really case by case.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting to know. And I guess like people deal with things differently, and sometimes it works with some kids, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just trying to be a bit...
No. It's a fair question.
Yeah.
Because people are afraid of social services because they don't know how we think.
Yeah.
But as a parent, the children are teaching us.
Yes.
About ourselves. Mm-hmm. They're teaching me about my unresolved stuff, my unaddressed stuff. So, my first reaction is to smack because that's all I've known.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you got to wake up. You're a parent. Or you're just teaching your kids this is the way it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to lie in front, like I've never smacked. With my first child, I've found myself, I did smack her once. And that was the whole thing, like where you kind of resolve to what you've been, how you've been raised. But for me, I was like, no, that's not it. Because I think at that time I had like postpartum depression for years, till she was even 5 or 6. And like what you're saying, unresolved issues. And after that, I was like, no, that's not right.
Yeah. Some mums have that deeply. Sometimes they'll call us and say, I need help.
Really?
Or we'll get a referral from school and you just see, I've had parents bite their kids.
Bite their kids?
Bite, like marks are still
Tyson
on there for weeks. Yeah, not ripping the ears off, but it happens. Or anything you can imagine happens, and then you sit down with the parent and say, why did that happen? And I can imagine easily that some social workers won't even themselves do the work.
Yeah.
They're like, ugh, you smacked your child, you bit your child, you scratched your child. Well, I don't want to rip that child out of the family. So I'm like, how can we fix this? Wow. Some social workers are triggered themselves.
I can imagine. That's what I was saying to you. Like, it's interesting how do you decompress? And it's nice that you get like that kind of help with the therapists outside of that, because I can imagine there's some people that go into it to try and...
I've never had it.
Save the world. Well, I know.
I wish. But, but decompressing is, I think we've got like 9 kind of tenets for practice, and one of them is critical thinking.
Okay.
PCF6, Professional Capabilities Framework. One of them is you've got to be able to critically think.
Right.
So in practice, you'll see something like, what the heck am I looking at? Why am I asking myself that question? Is what I'm seeing that bad?
Yeah.
Or you're going to a house and just see mess,
really?
Chaos. You'll smell and you'll be like...
What, as bad as that program, Hoarders?
Yeah.
Really?
I've been in that.
Seriously?
Yeah, last year. I've been in that. Like the parent was stopping me from coming to the house. And I'm like, if you don't let me come to the house, because she had done something to her child and it was like, this is serious. Yeah, come and meet me, but meet me on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, meet me on the street. And I'm like, look, I'm doing this assessment, because I worked in the assessment team. I'm like, I'm doing this assessment, but I want to see your house. What do you want to see my house for? You want to see my child? My child said, there's a lot of arguing for weeks. So I was like, look, no, I'm not. Just in case the Sun newspaper rocks up with a story of someone dying.
Yeah.
Let me do my job, right? I've seen the children, because I just need to see the children. But actually, I do want to see the house. I went in the house, wouldn't believe it.
Wow. And then what did you have to do then?
I said, I'm going to put this case on child protection if I don't come in the house. And she let me in because she was worried about that. Because I said, well, we would then have to, we could just come in.
Yeah.
Just rock up at the house. But I have to remember, I have to work. I want to work with you. I don't want to work you.
Yes, yeah.
I'm coming in, let me in and see the kids. You all right? Yeah. I don't want to separate you and the kid. I don't want to be, I want to see how I can help you. Different social workers, different styles. That's the truth. So I go in the house and it was real chaos. And my thing is, how do we change this?
Yeah.
The parent doesn't think there's anything wrong.
I think that's normal.
What, for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about? It's just a few papers. It's just a few clothes. Everywhere. Floor. Couldn't see the carpet. I was like,
wow.
2-hour conversation. How do you think this is okay?
Wow. I mean, and was she depressed? Was she anxious? Was she, what was going on?
I can't answer all of those questions.
Yeah.
I would like to. I would like to be able to, but I can't answer all those questions because I don't know. But I can say, although we had a lot of arguments.
Yeah.
Because I will. When I use the term arguments, it's not that we're shouting at each other.
Yeah, just like a back and forth.
It's really intense. But we built a lovely relationship. So we argued 2-hour conversations every time.
Yeah.
It was too much for me because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then I said, right, I'm handing you over to your social worker. And she goes, I'm going to miss you.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? So I said, right, we're going to child in need. If you don't make this house appropriate, we're going to escalate it. So just please work with us. I'm trying to work with you.
Yeah. That's good to know that. I think people value that when they know that you're trying to work with you, because I think people are under the impression that social workers just want to come and rip your children away from you.
But that is also true.
Yeah.
Even for myself, it's like, I mean, I've got a colleague that I chat to sometimes, and it's like, there's more than one colleague actually, and they're like, these kids have to come with me now. Their parents are like, what are you talking about? They can't stay here. Are you going to get rid of your boyfriend? No. Why? Well, he can't beat you and the kids stay here. He's got to go. Well, he's not going. Well, I'm going to call the police. I have to call the police then.
Whoa.
Lots of that. Or, all right, he's leaving. I don't believe you. All right, he's gone. We'll leave the kids here. And then we rock up and he's still there the next day.
When this is happening, does the biological dad know that this is happening?
We may not be in contact with him at that point. He might be like quite estranged. He might.
Right.
Usually they've got another family somewhere. Usually that's what you find. We've got 2 families, and he might be 100 miles away. But if we find him, I'll be like, hey, listen.
This is what's happening.
I've had parents who are like, do not contact him because they don't want to be embarrassed. So much, man. So much.
Wow.
I'm going everywhere with this.
No, that's the thing. It's a very complex issue, and it's covers like it's showing that social work is not just one thing. You're just not going in there ripping kids out. No. It's very complex, deep, and detailed.
So it's like you want to get them out because it's that bad. The parents don't see that necessarily, but it's that bad. That's usually the case, but there are cases where we get it very wrong.
Wow.
Cultural differences, perceptions, fabrication, lies. It happens. It's not. I don't think it's a common thing, but it happens. And
so fabrication from
social worker.
Right.
I think that happens. It happens.
So where they kind of fabricate like what's actually happening.
Conflate maybe.
Okay.
I do the opposite. I will play it down unless it's really serious.
Okay.
Because I'm critically thinking about what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll make a phone call. Hey, look, I'm looking at this. What do you think? Yeah, they go, okay. They'll go on the phone. They're like, yeah, looking at history. All right, I'm going to see if I can work with Mum. I'll see if I can work with Dad.
Right.
Or, no, Curtis, what do you think? My manager will say, what do you think? And I'm like, if I go home today, that mum's going to coach them kids to tell lies. You go to them kids. Now, kids really don't lie very well. So you go up to them kids and you say, like, so tell me this on the next visit. Where's Johnny? You know?
Yeah.
So I go and do a home visit. And I remember there was one particular family. They weren't mine, but I used to visit them a bit to cover for another social worker. And this mum, this boyfriend would never meet social workers, but he lives there.
Wow.
And the mum would not allow us in unless it was serious. Child protection. There was a 5-year-old, there was teenagers in there. And it was clear she would not let go of this geezer. And he was beating her. Now, I can't force my entry, but in that situation, it's really a case of, the problem is a lot of times social workers don't escalate the situation. It's like, listen, I need this done. Because with me, I don't want to go 3 times into child protection. So they're 2015, 2018, now it's 2024. Child protection again, like, no, not for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
What needs to change?
Something needs to change, 100%, 100%. Because you'll probably have it in the back of your mind, like, we don't want another, or, you know, case of like a baby P or whatever. And it's good to have those things in the back of your mind because it'll force you to be like, no, I'm just going to do this. I
swear, there was a couple of cases I had lately and I was just like, I want to go home. I'm tired. I'm in this house and I don't think I can go home yet. I don't trust this family.
Man.
If I leave this kid here, they're dead. That's in your head.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not going to make it all. And you got parents saying, oh, it'll be all right. They will sacrifice their kids, man. There's parents out there that will put their own self first.
Yeah, no, funny enough, because I saw this thing, I forgot what Instagram handle it was, but this guy, he's like an undercover trafficker. He was working undercover.
With traffickers?
Yes. I don't know I think he's the one that
Was it on my page?
Oh
no, it wasn't.
I forgot whose page I saw it on, but he's the executive producer of what's that movie that came out?
Oh my gosh.
The one that you said you should watch with the kids. Oh my gosh.
The Voice of Freedom.
Yes, Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Yes, he's the executive producer of that. And he was saying that there was a mom who gave him like I don't know if it's 2 of her children or 1 of her kids, and he gave the mom money, and then the mom said to him, like whatever you do. Did you see that?
I saw that. Whatever you do, make sure that whatever happens to them, that's it. The last time it happens to them, take them out. Basically, kill them. Yeah, as in kill them. Don't let it come back to me. And he was thinking that she was going to say something sentimental, like, you know, keep them for me or whatever. But she said, whatever you do, don't let it come back to me. That's from a mom. For not much money. You see, you know what it is? People think that this is over there. You see all that stuff we see in the movies? It's right in all of our cities. Scotland, pedo ring. Involving ministers of parliament. Look at Rochdale. The incident where the people were dying at high rates there. And the abuse in the care homes there. This is common stuff. Like, we think that murderous and horrible things, it happens easier over there. But in England, in this really civilized society, the same stuff is happening here. Parents are drugged out whilst their kids are next to them getting dealt with by a boyfriend, and mum knows, and she will lie. It happens. So because we keep having these situations where parents are, for whatever reason, covering up, we're looking at the kids. We sometimes overreact. Yeah. Because we're like, what's going to happen when I go home tonight? This is why it's horrible, because we're always going to be enemies, because we're like, no, these kids have to come. I need that man out. I don't believe you when you say this relationship's over. They got to come. They're stealing our kids. Yeah, but you're abusing your kids. Like, you're the bad guy all of a sudden. Prove it. Yeah. You know, it's just 24/7. That's what we're getting. Oh my gosh. And that's the thing. It's quite hard to wrap your head around, because, you know, we live in a civilized, in Europe, and
America and whatever. It's everything's civilized, it's proper, it's safe.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think that there is all this craziness going around in places we wouldn't even imagine. And I guess that's probably how it's carrying on, because the power, the money.
You can hide it. You can hide well with money. Yeah, you can hide well with money.
You can pay off people. Same with, ministers and preachers that are prominent, that, some of them have passed, but things have come out because they've been paying people.
Listen, the congregation will protect them. I've seen this multiple times. First lady will protect her husband, knowing what he's done. She will go to the end. The only thing that will probably stop them sometimes is going to jail.
So all this because I'm guessing they're getting paid? Because they're being promised a good life? What is it? Or they don't want it to look bad on them?
Well, I think I do have a problem personally if I set up a church.
Yeah.
And that church is my living. Therefore, to grow my church, I have to do things to grow my church. Now I've got an income. I'm on 40, 50, 60, 70K a year, plus benefits, because I have that liberty.
Yeah.
Through the church model. You're going to take that away from me?
Wow.
I think that's a thing.
And that's sad, because it's then going to put people off Christianity.
Yeah, her childhood sweetheart.
Yeah.
They've been together since they was 15. And now we're 45, 50, 60. And you're going to take him away from me?
Wow.
Embarrass me in front of my kids? And she knows. She got nowhere else to go in life. She better stick with him. Because she got nowhere to go. She's not going to get a job. What's she going to do? She's 60. What's she going to do? She's 50. She's 40. She's embarrassed. She's a praise and worship leader. She's got status. He's got status. They've got children. Listen. And in the congregation have been served by them. They're going to protect them. It's deep.
Do you know what? As much as I think more needs to be done, call me cynical or whatever, I feel like it's going to get worse.
I think nothing changes.
It might not get worse, but we're going to see more of it coming out to light. To light. Because I think it's happening, a lot. But I think we're probably going to see more and more of it being exposed because of the nature of our cameras. People are becoming more brave to speak out and realizing people that this is not what it's supposed to be like, whether it be in your workplace, whether it be in your church. I think we're going to see a ramp up in it. And I just pray and hope that people are not going to be put off church. Actually, maybe not put off Jesus. Let me say that.
I like that.
I hope it doesn't put people off Jesus, because people are going to be people and things are going to still happen. But it's good to educate ourselves and to be aware. And I'm so thankful that you're here kind of opening our eyes to not be like little puppets that just go ahead because the man of God, the prophet of God said this and that. So we have to do whatever they say. That I have, the prophet that said I need to come in the back room to pray for me by myself.
It's happening as we speak in the UK. I only speak for the UK, really. But, I would say I have friends who have been through it and they still believe. So our experiences as humans, wherever we are hurt or traumatized or abused, God didn't do it to us.
Exactly.
And a lot of people I know, God is their way out of going mad.
Yeah.
Or doing
100%.
something out of revenge,
100%.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So we literally just went on a tangent. I didn't even...
I knew it would happen.
I know, me too. But I just wrote questions just in case. And I didn't even realize the time because we are on a time schedule. So one question I do want to ask.
Yeah.
So with you, as a parent, does it make you extra careful, or has it changed how you parent being in this role?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I got a girl, boy, girl, 20, 16 and 10.
Right.
And for them, I'm aware that the games that they feel that they want to play now, I see how they end up. Mm-hmm. So I'm advising them, use your youth to make your later life a better place to be.
Yeah.
My daughters were not allowed to be around boys so much. Of their own age group, yes, in a sense. In church, around men, they were never allowed to be physical. Mm-hmm. Further on from that, I'm teaching them to choose their friends wisely. For my son, it is a case of it is easy for my son is a wise boy.
Yeah.
Very calm, cool, loves just chill, wise boy, thinks a lot.
Oh, that's good.
And it's still easy for him to be groomed and exploited through manipulation. Wow. So what I'm talking to him about, don't hold no packages for no one, don't send no D-pics to no girl. That's you done, boy.
Yeah.
That's you done. Like, as soon as you send that pic,
that's it.
They're going to say, well, listen, hold this package for me, deliver it to North London, deliver it to Birmingham, or I'm going to send it out there. I'm talking to my 1-8-year-old, we're talking to our kids.
So you're very open, like, just this is how it is.
If we don't tell them, Snapchat going to tell them.
True.
It's either I have to get there first.
And so, this is why it's important to have the dads as well, and both parents in their life.
Come on.
Because you guys, if it was just one of you,
it'd be difficult.
It would be difficult. Yeah. You won't have the time to do all of that. You're thinking, I have to provide, and you'll be out working. And I think most of the cases,
single parent homes,
yeah, where one of them's out working, and they have to trust somebody to stay with the kids. And what advice would you give as we're kind of coming to a close? Because
this is only part one of
this.
Like 10,
I think this is part one, because I feel like we need more. We definitely need to dive deeper into this. I think, we're gonna. But for this part one, you've heard it first. What advice would you give first to parents? I want to say first to parents, and then to the kids that may have gone through something or are going through something right now and they don't have anyone to talk to. But first, let's talk to the parents. Advice for the parents.
Wow. I like off-the-cuff questions, but it'll be good. Parents, if you're struggling, ask social services for help. Okay. Just do it, okay? As long as you're not allowing abuse to take place, they're going to help you, all right? Number one, because if you don't say anything, it's going to get out of control and you're going to end up in social services anyway. If you're struggling with your children's behaviour or if you're worried about where they're at, say something. Okay. Number two, deal with yourself. Start to ask yourself some questions about what and why you are here and what you do and why you do it. That informs how you parent. It informs, this is a big one for me, how you see God and how your children see God. The version of God that we understand is coming through the way we were treated as children.
100%.
And one of the big things for me is I want my children to know God properly. Yeah. Not through the lens of abuse or neglect. You know, don't let church. This is a faith-based show, I guess. Yeah. Don't let church be how you avoid being a parent. Don't over-spiritualize things and say, I'm going to go and pray out, I'm going to chase demons and stuff like that. Go home and love your children. Being at home is more important than being at church, because your Christianity is not about what you believe, but what you do. And any Christian can tell you, church attendance won't save you.
100%.
But we save our children by being present. So the Christianity that we already learnt about, even if you've been to church once, you know enough to go home and look after your family. Your family comes first. If you can't go to church, or if you think your children are unsafe by you being at church, you go home. Forget church. I could keep talking.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The floor is yours. The floor is, talk as much as you need to, because we need this information.
You have to be... oh, sorry, no, go on.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying we need this information, because I like what you said there about church attendance, because I think we are so... and ministry, where people are doing ministry.
Give up your ministerial positions. Listen, I was an elder in my church.
Really?
Yeah, years ago. And I was losing my family.
Wow.
I will confess that.
Wow. You're the second person I've heard that said that. There's someone who, a prominent figure in South Africa, who said the exact same thing, that he lost his family and he wasn't being available with his wife because under the guise of ministry. But his first ministry is supposed to be his family and his wife. And he, thank goodness, he saw the light and everything's fine. But now you're the second person that's saying this.
I have to give two examples. Moses is the prophet that's leading the Israelites out of Egypt. Massive.
Yeah.
He's got a brother. His brother's got two sons.
Yeah.
Aaron is his brother. Aaron's a high priest. But his sons were tyrants. They were sleeping with girls and they were getting drunk and drinking wine that they shouldn't be drinking. Eli's sons. Eli's a high priest. His sons are doing the same thing. Yeah. All these high priests with their reckless children. Because that just shows you they weren't there for their children. They were there for themselves. In the name of God, I'm doing this. In the name of God, I'm doing that. You know something? Most people don't want to be with their families. So they will hide behind religion.
That's a word. That's a word right there.
I've done it.
Wow.
Not that I didn't want to be with my family.
Yeah.
I just was, some of it, I was doing some avoidance.
Yes.
I stopped that. My wife is standing there looking at me whilst I'm preaching.
Like, what are you doing?
I didn't know what she was thinking. But I was looking at her and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my kids looking at me from the congregation. I'm like, they have not seen what I've been preaching. They're only hearing it from the altar, from the rostrum. They're not seeing it in their home. No, those days, that day when I realised, hold on, they're looking at me, stopped. So church, you stay there, family.
Wow.
I love watching you and Tommy.
Oh, thank you.
Because Tommy comes home.
Yeah.
Tommy's combing the girl's hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what we need.
Yeah, no, he's really good. He's really, really good with the kids. I couldn't have asked for a better husband. I said even on my last podcast, God knows the type of man that you need. And I really do feel blessed. Yeah. I feel blessed to have him because he definitely, he knows, he can tell. You're probably like that with Juanita now. Like when something's off with her, you're like, something's off. And then you know the tone that you're supposed to use at the right time. Like, is it calm tone?
I'm trying.
Yeah, so you kind of start learning your partner, and it's nice that you have that with the partner that you're with, and I'm so thankful for him, and thank you for watching.
No, he's big. I can see it in him, and I just want to say this before I say any more, because I'm talking too much now, but, you know, Juanita is my second set of eyes. Even in my job, in my religious walk. Sometimes she says things I don't want to hear. It's true, and I don't want to hear it. So she's number one. Yeah. She's got my back. Like,
for real.
I wouldn't be here like this if it weren't for her. Do you know what I mean? I have to say it.
No, honestly, and we have to give the props where it's due, because it's no one person gets to where they are just by themselves. There is people that are there behind them, whether they're praying for them, whether they're encouraging them, whatever it is. And it's nice that you acknowledge that, because you know it's a teamwork. Yeah, it's 100% a teamwork. And I pray that you guys continue showing us that teamwork and inspiring all of us as well. And I know you will. I know you will. I just need to break through that imposter syndrome of all of us and just go for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And one last question, like we were saying about the children that may be going through something right now.
Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. So if you're a teenager, talk to your you just have to open your mouth and say something, and then the rest will happen. Speak to your teacher, speak to a trusted family member a trusted family member, meaning you can trust them. Speak to your friend, speak to your friend's mom, speak to your tutor, your teacher, whoever it might be that is trusted, that you trust. Talk to them. You're not going to go far by bottling this up and keeping it to yourself. It's going to get you at some point. So my advice is say something to somebody, and don't repeat the mistakes of so many people around us. I'm talking to teenagers now.
Yeah.
If you're younger than that, do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Well, thank you so much for that.
It's a pleasure.
That's very good information. A lot of things stunned me. I'm not gonna lie. I think when I get back home, I'm definitely gonna be like.
When you're editing the video, you're
yeah. Like, don't even know if I'm going to edit it. I'm just going to post it. Like, I'm not even going to rewatch this again. No, I'm joking. I will just have a look through it. But it is stuff that,
there's a lot.
I really take my hat off to you guys, to you social workers. You do a lot. You're the unsung heroes that are working in the background, the Batmans, that are saving these children from these horrible situations. I even right now I've thought of something else, but I'm not even going to go through it because we're going to be here for a long time. But we'll keep this for part two. Part two, we're just going to go dive straight into it. There'll be no
intros.
There'll be no icebreakers. It's just going to be straight for the jugular, as they say.
Yeah.
But I'm very honored and thankful for you to make this trip down here to sit with me.
Yeah.
I hope this has been fun for you.
In this mad, trendy shop as well.
I know, right?
The Social Work Race, TikTok,
Yes.
on all podcasting platforms, the Social Work Race podcast, all things social work. We're keeping it very real there.
Yes. Please do follow him. I'll put everything, all his information in the description. And please go follow, and share. With if you have any concerns as well yourself, hit him up.
I get it every day. Messages every day. What should I do? Actually, I just want to say, someone messaged me privately. I put it out as a post.
Right.
She was in an abusive relationship. And because I've been talking about it, she left that relationship recently.
Wow.
She has a kid.
Wow.
She said, just thank you for the videos. So, guys, you've got to share these videos because it's saving lives.
Exactly. So there you go. So reach him up on his Instagram, TikTok, wherever, and he will try and get back to you as soon as he can and help you with as much information as you can. So once again, thank you, Kurt. I appreciate you. And guys, watch out for part two. And actually, if you have any questions, put them in the comments as well. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.